Think about some of the things throughout your life that have helped you most. I can go immediately to a couple people that were inspirational to me and were mentors. And then I can also think of incredible books that served me so well. And it hasn't been that often that I've never been much of a reader in my past because I wasn't focused enough. But it's funny, since I quit antidepressants, I'm so much clearer. And I can read and read and read all day. So, and I've gotten some incredible books, but I became a facilitator and took all the courses from Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, etc. And think about this now. As I began to read through the ancient literature, pre-Bible stuff, my goodness, I could see exactly where it came from. That the first thing we have to do is write a mission statement. Why? Because we have to know what we want and where we're going, because that we can't create unless we know something about what we want to create. And so we write a mission statement. We begin to see the end in mind. Why are people successful that followed him? Because they wrote down what they wanted to see. They read that every single day. I did. And I saw the benefits were phenomenal. And they wrote it down. They said it every day. He was the first great manifester of our time, of my 70 years. He said, you read it every day. You begin with the end in mind. You identify what's important to you, the people that are important, the values that are important, so that you work around those. And then you learn to program your life so that you put those important things in your schedule according to priority, right? He had the whole thing. It's all what the ancients talk about. It's why there's Egyptian in the Mason's Bible. The real truths come from long, long ago, and there is nothing new under the sun. I remember specifically, and I will put my hands on it, but I don't think I can right now. I remember specifically reading in Self magazine in the 80s when they did this experiment and put 25 women of the same body shape, etc., age in one room and 25 in the other. I can't remember whether they hooked electrodes up to their legs so that they would know whether the women were moving or tensing or doing anything on their own. And then I don't remember whether one group physically exercised and the other group just meditated on it, or whether one group meditated on it and the other group did nothing. I can't remember, but I'll find out. But the results were phenomenal. The ones who meditated on their legs had 16 to 17% increased muscle. What does that say? And that's what's happened throughout my life. When I've been in a place where I knew my power, anything could happen, and it has. I've got some stories that would blow you away, and that's one of the reasons that it was so difficult for me to just toss Jesus, because I thought he did all that. And then when I tossed him out with all the rest of the lies, I didn't lose anything. I just got some clarity and began to learn from the ancients and to understand better. And when I did, I met Doug Vogt, who recently died. I attended his funeral in January. He was a hero to me. One of the things that excited me most was his travels to figure out what the Bible really meant And as long as he did his research, he came up with the same thing all the other priests and religious experts have from studying something that didn't make a hoot. But he finally began to look at things from a multidimensional reality perspective, that it's an informational system. And if it is, right, then how does that change things? And the minute he did, he was able to go over to Mount Sinai, or the Sinai area, and he reconstructed what happened in the Bible and came up with the Bible code. That is where you and I, our power, I believe, comes from. It's where we come from, because I believe it was the DNA code for humanity that he presented in words and sound in a crazy way. It's like, well, if we knew that tomorrow we might not be here, we would leave some kind of computer code in some format that we knew would last through whatever happened, whatever the end of the world. So we would put it in a very safe place, which is something Doug was working on, was finding a door for the place where he wants to pass on our coding for the next Earth Age. At any rate, the most remarkable thing was what he taught me about letters. It still blows my mind today. And then I began to learn about Kabbalah, and it's kind of exciting stuff. And it's relative to everyone, everywhere. And it's powerful, it's universal, and I believe that it's what we have to work with. It's in our hands. It's all up to us. Just as Viktor Frankl said, and I just finished kind of scanning for the best parts of this book again. And you can tell I've read it and read it and read it. When you're in a prison camp, and which of course I've learned a lot more about since then, but I actually met a couple people who had the numbers on their hands, and they made a big impression. And at any rate, when you're in that situation and they're torturing people you love, you've got to figure out what to hold on to, right? And he did. He figured that no one could take away his ability to think or to see things, to choose the way he sees things. And I spent 6 months at least so depressed when my foundation of religion fell out from under me. That tells you how dependent I was on it. And when I finally came out of it, I even took some ketamine treatments, which were very helpful. But when I came out of it, I just realized that I was depressed over losing something that wasn't real. And it destroyed me. Well, it didn't, but it could have. And nothing's different right now than what was then. It's just our view of reality. That's what we have. How we see things and feel things. How we treat people. How we care for people. How much we have to give instead of hoard. And I truly believe that we are on the right side, as long as we know it and don't fall for one of the stories the first stories that make us feel good or make sense, because it's not going to reconcile. It can't. Any source of humanity would love all of it. Any source of humanity wouldn't pit humanity against each other forever and always. I think we have latitude and longitude. I don't know how much. We are who we are, but it certainly is an incentive to live for who we are and quit trying to change people, because it ain't gonna work. We're a construct, we're a code. They know who we are. We just need to. Wouldn't you think it's time for us to figure out what we've got? Covey said we had endowments, human endowments, that were imagination and intuition, visualization. What great things. We just need to learn to use them. We've been self-sabotaging, and they've helped us in every way they can, with religion and politics and war. They had us believing that, well, all kinds of things that just aren't true. And it doesn't take long to figure it out. I could go on and